If it's okay with you.
I mean, yeah, we can add it then.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah, 'cause I think we haven't decision yet.
They gave me a complete new,
Yeah, that, we always have it on Friday.
being at war and
We're gonna open up today with a public hearing. Mr. Nathaniel Fouts is here from the Lower Savannah Council of Governments. Every year, the COG does a public hearing related to finding out our community needs assessments related to the Community Development Block Grant Program. I'll turn it over to Nathaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Felder. Thank you to Chairman Summers and the rest of the council for allowing me to speak this evening. Dr. Molnar sends his regard. He's in Atlanta for training right now, otherwise he'd be attending as well. Each year, Lower Savannah Council of Governments conducts a needs assessment for each of our 6 counties. We have 6 counties in our region: Aiken, Allendale, Bamberg, Barnwell, Calhoun, and Orangeburg. And so each year we do a public hearing for a needs assessment for each of our 6 counties. So that is the purpose of today's public hearing, is to get the word out about our 2020 community needs assessment for Calhoun County. As stated, we serve cities, towns, unincorporated areas within the 6 counties that I mentioned. And my division is the Planning, Economic, and Community Development Division. So we are available for any of Calhoun County's planning, community development, and economic development needs. The needs assessment helps develop projects in your community that will improve the quality of life for Calhoun County residents, especially those of low to moderate income. The community needs assessment focuses on 9 main topics: housing, infrastructure, economic development, obstacles to economic competitiveness, public safety, public facilities, neighborhood revitalization, and downtown revitalization. So those are the 9 areas covered under the needs assessment. Last year's needs assessment was held on January 15th, and we only had 2 people that participated. So this year we wanted to come in front of council and really push the public participation for this process. We have a survey that's been developed that can be accessed at lscog.org, and I also have hard copies here today as well. And we would really appreciate any of y'all's feedback on the surveys to help us determine the priority needs for Calhoun County. Last year's 2019 needs assessment determined that the top 3 priority needs for Calhoun County were workforce development, neighborhood revitalization, and infrastructure. As stated, we are requesting your input on the principal community needs for Calhoun County. For Calhoun County, the survey can be accessed at lscog.org, and I also have some hard copies here today as well. The information from those surveys will help us to develop projects for Calhoun County, mainly utilizing the Community Development Block Grant Program. Briefly about the Community Development Block Grant Program: it requires a 10% match from the locality, and there are 2 main funding cycles. The spring funding cycle is for community infrastructure, so that is water, sewer, drainage, stormwater improvements, water line improvements, water tank improvements, wastewater treatment plant improvements. Things of that nature can be funded through this Community Development Block Grant Program. The fall cycle is community enrichment, and that involves things such as libraries, fire trucks, fire substations, police equipment, streetscape improvements, and demolition of residential and government-owned structures. Also, a requirement of this needs assessment process is to get the word out about fair housing. April is Fair Housing Month, and Lower Savannah helps all of our counties develop fair housing plans to ensure that everyone knows their fair housing rights. That is our team right there, and please feel free to contact us for any planning, community, economic development, or housing needs. We are more than welcome to field your call and to kind of help develop projects for the county and for the county's residents. With that, that's all I have, and I will leave some some surveys here with Ms. Studemeyer, if y'all want to fill it out and leave it with the county, and they'll bring it back to me. And also, it's online at lscog.org. And with that, very brief presentation, and I will let y'all do y'all's normal business. Thank you very much for your time.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
All of this is countywide, this is not for the city.
And then also for the town, but this is specific for Calhoun County. But we also do projects with town of St. Matthews and all the towns in our region. So we have 46 towns altogether in our 6-county region that we help out.
And that be a matching grant.
Right, so St. Matthews or Calhoun County would pony up 10%, but in the grand scheme of things, in a $500,000 project, that's only $50,000. So you get $450,000 from the government, from the federal government. So if the town matches, or the county matches that.
Okay, I don't see nobody really from the town that I thought might be here to inquire concerning that, but I'll take it in for information.
Okay. And we had a needs assessment hearing for St. Matthews last year as well, so we'll come back for the town as well if y'all want.
Okay, thank you.
But I would really push that survey online, and y'all's feedback and input helps us to do our job and come up with a needs assessment plan and to develop projects for y'all. So thank you.
Okay, with the public hearings are now over. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, we may as well go on up here now.
Yes, sir. We're done.
So we open up.
Okay. Oh, I can ask. What was your name? Oh, yeah.
I heard you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. I came a few minutes late. Started early. Okay. I emailed with him. Got mine there, but put mine on.
They're fine.
Put mine on. Silent too.
Okay, call the Calhoun County Council meeting of February the 10th to order. Ken, would you open the invocation for us, please?
Yes, sir. Father, you have given us the will to choose right from wrong. We pray that you may inform our decisions so that they may not lead us astray. We pray for a sober mind during this time so that we do not regret them later. Above all, let them be based on your teachings and on the law. Amen.
Amen. Have a motion to approve the minutes of January 27th, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Any of you got a committee report? Susan?
No.
Ken? Any of you got any appointments?
None.
None. Susan?
I've got one. We have a position on the hospital board. I'd like to appoint, Boyd McLeod to that position, that board member for
Okay.
regional medical center.
I'll second.
You got any appointments? Okay. All right. Any more discussion on board? All in favor of the motion, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. You'll have to give up the.
Right.
Put the work.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, y'all need to fill the BZA position.
You need to speak up.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the BZA.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I got,
We're gonna put
I-
Steve in there as chairman.
I'll talk with him.
Okay.
See what we can, yeah, I'll talk to Steve.
Caesar, it's my phone.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, I knew that. He said he would step off of that.
Okay, one resolution and proclamation. The appearances, Cindy Miller, American Financial Credit Services, service provider, delinquent tax collector.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Green, the delinquent tax collector. I'm here tonight to ask approval from council if I could use a company called American Financial Credit Services to help collect business personal property, well, unpaid business personal property taxes that are unpaid in my office.
They got a pretty good record.
Yes, they have, I think they have over 26 counties.
27 counties.
27 counties.
27 counties.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking that is back in my older life, I had an interest in a tractor business, and we turned it over to a credit outfit to collect, the money that was over, and they didn't collect the dime, so that's why I'm asking,
From other tax collectors, I've heard positive feedback. They were able to collect a lot of funds from DPPs for them. So since Miss Cindy is here tonight, I'm gonna let her explain a little bit how it works. And I think it's no cost to the county, so this could, help clear up some of the unpaid taxes on our books.
yeah, okay.
Yes, the tax collectors don't have any teeth as far as collecting delinquent business personal property in the state. We're just an extension of our office. We're easy to get along with. We help her out as far as getting these taxes either cleared up
Right.
or getting them written off your books.
All right.
It helps with the budget.
Cindy, how much taxes do you have to you not collect every year, you know?
I'm sorry,
Looking at Cindy.
Tammy. When I pulled the report for the DPPs that are unpaid from 2010 through 2018, and that total was 548,000, over 548,000.
It wasn't collected?
Correct.
So our fee is added on to what the taxpayer owes.
Right.
The county doesn't pay us anything. If it's just a matter of educating the taxpayer, if they need to file paperwork with the Department of Revenue, we explain that, we can help them. We can send them a form, tell them what they need to do as far as closing it out. Our fee is only added to the correct assessment,
Right.
from the Department of Revenue.
Well, how much is that fee?
20%.
20%.
And I retired from the Department of Revenue, so.
Anybody got any other questions?
So, the first thing Tammy would do would send out a letter notifying the taxpayer, giving them 30 days to pay. And a lot of them will come then and pay. And we'll go back to, 2010. But we will pick up the postage for those letters.
Right, okay. All right.
So,
Can you get a question? Okay, Tammy.
You need a motion?
I need a motion, Tammy, to put this in works.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow Tammy to enter into an agreement with American Financial Credit Services for collection of delinquent taxes.
Second.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor, vote with aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
thank you.
good, thank you. Deputy Administrator Ms. Hawkins, you got animal control maintenance and rounds and opportunity zones.
that means I can drop one. Good evening. I'm a little frazzled, but hopefully I'll catch up. You also have a building and planning report, but we can do that at another time. The animal control report, as you see from February, is this graphic, saying performance indicators. You have December and January. I think the last report was in December for November. And forget the total number of complaints through January was 262. The total number of complaints responded to was 399. You can see that we had 47 calls after hours, 30 total to the town of St. Matthews in complaints and response. Town of Cameron, 2 complaints, 3 response. So you had to go out or call them back or some kind of service provider. We're going to add another item, which is the number of animals received into animal control. I think it tells a better story if we get an idea of the total number of animals that actually come through the shelter. And so far through January, it's 165. We're still waiting for some data, how that works out between felines and canines. And as soon as we get that data, we'll add that to that. The number of court cases total has been 7, 3 in December, 3 in January. The amount of fines total was 875. The total amount of donations, 1,977. Medical donations, 972. Impounding boarding fees, a total of 195. And the total amount of restitutions to date through January 2020, $577.90. And the total medical expenses was $5,088. On the buildings and grounds, you have December 2019 and January 2020. As you can see, we had 9 work requests in December and 20 work requests in January. All but 2 of them have been resolved. One item is pending the procurement process. There's some balustrades needed at the magistrate's office in St. Matthews, and the other is being addressed by a third-party contractor. As you can see in the note, the remodeling needs some attention of some kind, so they have to come back in as a third party and resolve that issue. And there's some other summary notes on the support pages there. We appreciate the job that Director Mark Regan is doing in his department. Since it's not on the schedule, we'll come back with the building and planning. It's not on your agenda. The other item, I normally am very jubilant and super excited to talk about, but I didn't print my little page out, so I'm gonna do this off the top of my head, and hopefully I will do it justice. Some of you may or may not be aware of the Opportunity Zone. Can I poll you and see if you know that term, Opportunity Zone? I'm getting puzzled looks. I got some work to cut out for me. Opportunity Zones is an act that was initiated in 2017 through the White House initiative on revitalization through HUD and some other. There's about 12 different agencies that are working together on Opportunity Zones. It is to help revitalize distressed communities all across our nation. If you were privy to last week's State of the Union, President Trump actually mentioned the Opportunity Zone, and what he used is the word energize. And that is exactly what they're intended to do, is to energize different distressed communities across our country. Calhoun County actually has 4, it was 3, now 4 census tracts. And the census tract that runs through the middle of our county is designated an opportunity zone. Someone in our office or in our legislative designated said that's a good spot if you would want to have that as an opportunity zone. This packet here, if you turn to the page 3, and I'm sorry guys, I didn't pass it out. I think the boundary here is Belleville Road. I'm still learning the roads. Down to Lions Creek. And actually crosses I-26 at, I think it's exit 139. It's intended to stimulate investment in distressed communities, harnessing, this tool to support short and long-term community objectives. At the end of the 10-year period, this program will end. And what happens is there are opportunity zone investment funds, and if you were so blessed to have an additional tax gains you didn't want to pay taxes on, you could invest your funds in an opportunity zone investment fund. And some of them, if they are in that fund for 10 years, would forego capital gains assessment taxes. They're quite complicated, but the onus is you can put your money in these investment funds. You can help your communities all across the nation revitalize distressed communities, and then get some tax benefit from it. The Opportunity Zone has several things that you can do. One of them is real estate investment, as well as businesses. You can invest in schools, community facilities, incubators, equipment, as well as infrastructure improvements. Some folks are leveraging CDBG funds to attract projects in their area. One of the things that is happening is that we are being asked about opportunity zones and what kinds of things we can help as a government to help investors to come here. In the couple of months, 3-4 months I've been here, we've had 2 folks to come to our office, and Ted has been gracious enough to say, go ahead, Vanessa, you do the opportunity zones. So I'm learning it and trying to get information from various people, such as Senator Tim Scott, who wrote this bill. Mr. Al Jenkins has come and talked to me briefly. We're on their mailing list, their email list, as well as the State Department of Commerce, who has Katie McLean. She is the state liaison for opportunity zones. What's the ask? The ask is going to be, will you allow the administration to determine what projects we as a county want to present and promote here in that cross-section of the county? I guess you call it Midland, I think I've seen that terminology, here in the St. Matthews region of our county. If you have questions, I'll take the questions. If I was clear as mud, let me know. I'll try to bring clarity to how big this is. And the folks that we're talking about, they're talking about $10 million at a time. So it's a significant amount of investment that could come here if we attract the right project. So we wanted to get your feedback, get your buy-in or your approval that we can work hand in hand with these folks that are proposing to come here. Or you could suggest some projects you'd like to see that we can say this is the type of project we'd like to see here.
Did y'all take some of that up at the, Lower Savannah over there?
When we went to the Central SC Alliance, to their annual, every other year trip to DC, Senator Scott's, contact, who's handling that program in DC for him, came and met with 6 counties and told us about this program, introduced it to us. And so that's where, I got the first real details on it. They told us at the time the regulations would be coming out on that, and they have, and, I want to credit Ms. Hawkins for taking this and running with it. In the spirit of being helpful on this, what we'd like y'all to do is take this information that Ms. Hawkins is giving you tonight. I've sat in on 2 meetings already. It's very exciting on stuff that we could bring to you. But just as an example, Mr. Jenkins from Senator Scott's office is going to be at the next meeting, along with some information that we're going to bring to y'all about a specific project idea, the type of thing, if we want to, we can get behind. But we thought it would be a good idea just to have an introduction to this program for y'all tonight, so y'all have a couple weeks to sort of take it in. Feel free to call Ms. Hawkins or me anytime in the interim, and also we will, like I said, we will have something a little more specific to discuss at the 24th meeting. And I really I've sat in on 2 of the meetings with Ms. Hawkins. They're doing a good job, and it's been very exciting prospects for bringing some private investment into some distressed areas of the county.
So right now, you're introducing this to us, correct? And we're gonna have to hear from this further. And it looks like a big thing.
It is.
And it's not a 5-minute.
No, you can't take a bite, you're gonna have to do it like an elephant bite at a time. There are lots of, if you Google it, if you're into Googling it, I have prospectus that was done out of Cheraw, South Carolina. They actually had a planning grant that was out previously to help, much like the gentleman did, in the public meeting, their survey and getting all the data together, the demographics, to see what would work best for our particular opportunity zone. We are on the waiting list if they should choose to put it out again and give us grant funds for the planning. But there's one on the whitehouse.gov site. It tells you the regulations that came out end of December, all of the agencies that are working together. There's a toolkit that I have here. It's a lot to get your hands around, but it's been going for, nearly 3 years now, so.
So this packet right here is specific to our opportunity zone?
I actually went out there, and I don't know how good the data is. There's a lot of data points that they put together for this. So, as I was looking over it again for the second or third time, I wasn't too sure if the metrics are right, but this is what they said for our opportunity zone, St. Matthews, that mid area on Calhoun County. This is what relates to us in that area. And it's a lot of data points, it's a lot of data, a lot of percentages and numbers.
Yeah, I would say certainly do the research and let us know as it develops. You said Mr. Jenkins with.
He's very excited about what Ms. Hawkins has been doing. He will be here on the 24th to hear the presentation, be a part of it. They are very excited about getting behind something in Calhoun County.
Yeah.
And we're gonna come back with a recommendation, is that right?
I'm all for it.
I'm guessing this is coming from 2010 data, census data?
Yes, sir.
So
And
in other
whatever
words,
estimates they've made.
yeah, so whatever, it will change.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shortly.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on the old business, the landfill closure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We wanted to give the public an update on where things were. As you know, about a year ago, we started making it clear that although we've been talking about for a long time, the time was going to be approaching where we were going to have to close the landfill or do a new one. And council expressly voted that they wanted to, when this landfill was full, we were going to get the county out of the landfill business. There are several steps to that we've been dealing with, several parallel tracks. Just to bring you up to date on those briefly, one is we have to go through all of DHEC's issues and processes as we close the landfill, and those are right on target. One of those, as a subset of that, is what we're going to do with a permit. And as you recall, council approved us engaging Park and Poe at a recent meeting, and they are moving forward with setting up a meeting with us with DHEC so that we can decide what we're going to do with our permit. We have several options there, as you know. The second track is we had to deal with getting the proper surveying and everything else that the DHEC requires so that we can take care of any potential adjacent property issues as we close, and those are moving forward at the same time. We actually think those will probably be done first before the other, which is a good thing. Then the third thing is that once the landfill is closed, since we're doing that, what does that mean for the public and how do they need to do? Well, right now, Woody and I estimate, I'm going to let Woody take over in a minute. We estimate over 90% of people, when they have small personal loads of C&D, construction and demolition materials, they take it to the collection sites now in the boxes anyway. And as council has made clear, we're going to have boxes available even after the landfill is closed. In fact, we're actually talking, I'll let Woody tell you what we're going to do with that to make it easier on folks. There will be an option after the landfill is closed for people to take stuff until we make some permanent decisions about how we're going to dispose of the solid waste long term. Folks will not be left without an option, but we are less than a month from being able just to back vehicles into the hole and dump stuff there. And since it was getting close, we just wanted to give you an update, and I'm gonna let Woody make some comments, and then we'll be happy to take some questions.
The main thing, this is good, we want the public to know what's going on tonight. After the meeting, maybe more people know, because a lot of them come to landfill now, they're really a little bit mixed up with the thing. As you know, we were talking about going ahead and filling it, and we were kind of on the fast track to get it full as fast as we could, but then we changed it up whenever somebody was interested in buying the permit. So now you're telling me to try to drag it out a little bit, which is what we're doing. It probably could already be full if we really wanted it to be. But I know some constituents, some Ken, and some other people have been asking about the landfill, what are we gonna do in the future? Really, like Ted said, 90% of the people don't even come to the landfill. There's probably only 5% in the county. There's some people that actually don't even know that Calhoun County has a landfill. You couldn't get it if you asked them to drive it. Driving it, they don't know. But it is coming to a point where, right now, we kind of, if a guy brings a small load or brings a small object, we try to encourage him to put in a 30-yard container besides putting it in the hole. I do that by, I can prolong the life of the landfill, but right now, we're getting real close. So some people don't like putting it in the box, of course, because they're tall. Some people not arguing at all. But this, I guess we want to address what's going to be the protocol once the landfill is full itself. When the landfill is full itself, if it's a contractor, we already cut the contractors off. We actually made some arrangements, some of the folks that's been coming there for a good while. We made arrangements with Orangeburg, but any contractor in this county that wants to dump the C&D from now can go apply for a permit in Orangeburg. I think they would like to have like 2 weeks to be able to verify it before they let them start dumping. But anybody in Calhoun County that's a contractor can apply for the permit in Orangeburg. But you're not limited to Orangeburg. We may not have a place to put it other than the containers that we have at the landfill, which we're gonna have some there, and all the containers there at the collection sites. You can choose your landfill. I think Ken might even talk with Screaming Eagle. Screaming Eagle's got the lowest tonnage rate for setting C&D in this area. I mean, we may consider doing that ourselves in the future, hauling our C&D there versus Orangeburg just because of the price of it. But right now, we have an agreement with Orangeburg. For the last year and a half, we've been taking some loads on Orangeburg just to pull on the life of the landfill. But I guess the question comes down to the individual. There's some individuals that do bring C&D to landfill now. For that individual, he would not have the opportunity to dump in whole anymore once it's full, of course. But we will have boxes set up so he can dump in the box. We even talking about right now today, we're working on a thing that's making it so when you back up, the box will be level and have a bump stop there and maybe a ramp and let them dump into a container. But that's the only way that the residents will be able to do it. Either you can do that, put it in a dumpster by hand. But Orangeburg County is not going to accept the resident to come dump individually. The only way they can dump for free, if they want to go through us, they have to put in the green box. Or either they think they're busy enough, they can be on the contract and want to get a permit, they can do that. But I think that a lot of people worry about where they can dump. We're going to always have boxes for them. The collection sites are always going to be open. I'll tell you one other confusing thing about closing the landfill. A lot of people think that when we close the landfill, I'm going to shut the gate out there, but that's not true because we have household garbage in front with the compound. That's still going to be open. We still got a recycling center there. We have everything that we recycle on the pad. Linda's still to be there to weigh them in. She will still be there for the electronics to wrap them and put them on pallets. That's the only way they'll accept them now. But that would not be closed. That part will always operate. Now, when the hole is full back there, right now, if you go out there now, there's elevation sticks out there. The survey done just last week. Whenever we get finished filling the thing, we got to put the whole place back to the original elevation. So there's some places might have had 3 foot of dirt, some maybe half a foot. But once we get all the survey stakes out, we got to start moving that stockpile and moving the dirt where we need it and regrade it. I got a temporary fix. I've been talking with Mr. Ken because he's been very interested in how we do our collection sites in the future. And one thing that Ken said is a good point. We agreed to redo some of them and put it up there so boxes will be level for people to dump. We think it's a good trade-off getting rid of the landfill cost, having to run a landfill, and actually invest in putting our collection sites and making more updates like these other counties. I think it's a pretty good trade-off. We still can have the individual that make fuss about coming out there with a truckload of stuff. I do think though we kind of starting to train them now by having those boxes and encouraging them to dump in there and not put in the hole. And I think by the time that we actually get done, we're gonna do that. Just to let you know, we start all contractors, we start DOT, and we give Mr. Pope a deadline, kind of a tentative deadline for the town. But he knows once that happens, we got to make different arrangements. Either he's got to haul it, and we talked with him just today. If he's willing to get them in those boxes, we'll still haul it for him. But I'm gonna have those ramps and have those boxes. If they're willing to dump in there, or either put it in there by hand, everything will still be the same. But for the person that wants to dump a big load and not willing to dump any box, that's the only person that it'll change for. And he's got to make that, he or she have to make that decision. Do you want to dump? You want to put it out by hand in our box, or carry it on very and pay money.
Well, I thought, the town was, it had, that landfill up at,
Which
Calhoun.
man?
Yeah, Screaming Eagle Road.
Screaming Eagle, don't they have,
See, right now,
I thought the town had started picking up the old golf.
well, the household.
Huh?
Just a household.
Household.
That's household.
Private contract.
Yeah, this is the senior building pit, but the household, the town of St. Matthews did contract it out to Waste Management. They pick up, now where they carry it, that's their business.
Yeah.
But, and I think Cameron still picks theirs up and carries it on there.
Right,
But you know, for both of those, we pay the ton.
but you're just talking about the sea, all.
We're just talking about the senior.
But the ultimate goal is, like you were saying, explain to people is we're trying to make it where they can still be level.
Right.
I think you said a lot of people may be complaining because they think they have to
Have to
throw
do
it up
it.
over
That's
a
right.
bin that's
That's
6
right.
feet tall, whatever, but our goal is to have ramps where
Right.
your vehicle can pull up and you can roll it into
Right.
that. It's just a metal hole versus a dirt hole.
We're working on that right now.
That's what I want.
We actually we started working one today.
Right.
Making a temporary one. It's gonna be dirt. We using the front part of our pit's already dug out.
Right.
So we're gonna level it off, and have it so the truck driver can back the box down in there and put it next to the bank.
Right.
I mean, it's already 10-foot back there. And we'll have a bump stop, so the truck cannot back all the way in there, unless
Right,
it's really makes
right.
a hard attempt. And he can dump it over that cliff into the box.
Metal box.
I think that's a pretty good trade-off, and I think we can have it done by this week probably.
And then like you said, our convenience centers, we're just hoping to upgrade those in time.
Like I said, 90% of the people, or maybe more than 90%,
Right.
came to the collection site anyway, and I'm gonna tell you why they do that. You got to pay tipping fees if you come to landfill. You don't have to pay tipping fees if you go to the collection site. But you don't have to pay tipping fees after you got your 2,000, so many tons, 2 tons. But that's going away. But I want to warn the public before we just throw it on. It's a moving date. We can't give you a precise date, because I don't know how long we can milk it. The right person come in and got to get rid of it. We might fill it up. We might go 6 months. We might go 2 weeks. But it's getting close enough where the public really needs to know.
Yes.
But there's never gonna be a time where we say, no, we're not gonna take it, we have no place for you to put it, because that's not right.
No, then it doesn't.
We have enough boxes, and we got enough places to put it.
Right.
But I think a lot of people think that it should be put out to dry, but that's not the case. And with a contractor, they would have to pay the same tonnage if they came out of landfill to do Lunenburg. Might be $1 cheaper than. If they go to Screaming Eagle, it might be 10 or 12 dollars.
All right.
But, one other thing I would like to say while I'm up here, and this is about the road department, I'm not on the agenda about that, but I think we talked about it in another meeting. The weather's been really bad, people's calling about roads. I can show you a video where I had 2 motor bridges stuck down, where we had to pay $600 to get them pulled out. It comes to a point where you can't work on a road unless it's very uncertain. I get it passable, I can't make it smooth, and it rains 3 or 4 inches again the next day. And I'm gonna tell you, it's at the point now, a little rain is like a big rain, but it's so saturated.
It's gonna rain tomorrow.
Yep, I just want the public to try to be, try to be patient with us, because we have a hard time, and, we're spinning the wheels, we get going and stop. I've already spent over 10 grand in rock, and they have to ask y'all for more money for rock, because I just don't have it. I don't have money in my budget for that much, but, we take everybody's call, Some people are very patient, probably 70% of the people in the county never talk about their road. Those 30% don't rag me pretty hard. And, we try to do best we can, but if you think we're ignoring them, we're not ignoring them, but you cannot work on it. You really can't. If I go in there, I'll make it impossible for everybody. But that's all over you that I have.
Okay, thank you, Woody.
Other questions, Mr. Templeton?
Anybody got a question?
I just have a comment, and that is that, this, Ted and Woody both have been working real hard on this, today and this past Friday. Because, I did have somebody just ask me about it, and so I asked them to do as much research and get this thing moving as fast as possible. And I think Woody particularly and Ted too, have worked real hard trying to come up with something that will work for everybody, and I appreciate his coming tonight on short notice.
Twofold. We're working on the landfill issue, and they're working on the roads as much as they can. You can't beat Mother Nature, so I mean, we can only do so much.
And the weather doesn't help the landfill either. I mean,
Right.
it's pretty rough. And that's another thing, when I find a place for them to put the boxes, we got to make sure it's a passable place. And it's not easy to pick in a good spot, but we do best we can.
Well, y'all would have been pulling cars out of there right and left if they wouldn't go in that hole now.
Right.
I
And
mean-
I think the ramp would probably be more accessible than the hole. more than likely.
Yeah.
Okay, is any other old business? The new business, does anybody have any new business tonight? I have a motion that we approve ordinance 2020-1, first reading by title only.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion, you make the motion?
I moved it, we.
Second,
Seconds.
any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And, number 2, ordinance 2020-2, first reading by title only. I have a motion to approve the ordinance,
So moved.
first reading.
Second.
Second, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, Administrator, what you got?
Just two items, Mr. Chairman, I know y'all have a short night. The President's Day holiday that's part of the ordinance that sets holidays for the county is a week from today, Monday, February 17th. Just wanted to let you and the public know that the county offices will be closed on Monday the 17th and President's Day. And then the other thing is, I mentioned to y'all at the last meeting that we are hoping to have a work session just on the new proposed personnel policy manual at the end of this month. And I just want to give y'all the date, this is a suggestion, Wednesday, February the 26th at 10 a.m. If that will work with y'all, and if not, see if what other date would work. It's a Wednesday, February 26th.
I'm good.
I don't have any issues with that, that's fine.
Literally, it's literally talking to him, and that day works for him, so.
We want to make sure. All right.
If y'all are good with that, we will have a personnel policy manual. Well, we'll check it out, make sure that'll work, and then we'll let you know.
We have issues.
Getting that all right with you?
Yeah, the 26th.
Okay. All right,
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
anything
That's
else?
it.
You got anything else? Okay. All right, I have a motion to go into executive session to take up personnel matter with the library and a personnel matter with the administration.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, aye?